It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on the 4th of July, 2020. A happy 4th of July weekend to all of you folks that are here in the States. Big celebration weekend for a lot of folks. Do it safely, I hope, people. Not sure what we're going to have in the way of a show this morning, with it being a holiday and a lot of plans for families and the like, and people traveling and going places and so forth. So not a huge idea on how many people are going to be with us today. But we're still going to do a show, and I'm going to probably go on a little bit of, not a rant this morning, folks. I'm not going to do that today, but we'll be talking about a few things. So I do see that Gary Potter is with us this morning. Welcome aboard, Gary. It's good to have you with us. That's a new name that I have not. I don't remember that one. And Gary, if you're still with us and you want to drop a comment on where you're from, we'd appreciate knowing that. And I think you'll find that the folks in the chat room carry on a conversation the whole time I'm running my mouth. And everybody is welcome to do that, participate or not participate, whether you like. Also with us this morning is Robert Luquette. Good morning, Robert. Amy's with us. Amy, you're on time today. That's great. Gretchen's here. Nikki's here from down in Jacksonville. So good to have you guys starting off this morning. Now, there is a little bit of news. First, I get the business out of the way. If you're new to this channel, welcome aboard. We do travel and cruise industry news Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Then I do anytime that there's some major things, and I'm going to start being a little bit better with that as we go into the future. I will put a video up or do another live broadcast in between time. But we're here Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, 11 o'clock. We also regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry, cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, my interviews, which are called Chillie Chats. And also then on Sunday, I co-host a show over in London. I will talk about that a little bit before we get started today. The show tomorrow from London with Pete and John and Cruises for Solos. And by the way, if you're not a solo cruiser, you're still more than welcome to join us on that show. That just happens to be the group that started it. And the three of us, the three amigos, are all cruise solo. But we got a bunch of people that are with us that are not necessarily solo cruisers. Now, there's a lot of solo people that are there, but don't think that we're distinguishing against folks that are married and have mates and partners and whatever. We don't. But the shows have been so fabulous, and we've had such wonderful, wonderful guests. It just seems like every show is better than the next. Tomorrow, the show, and by the way, if you're new to this channel, what I'm talking about, this show is live from London, and I co-host it. And it's at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 8 p.m. London time, every Sunday. And tomorrow, the guest on the show is actually a friend of Pete's, Julie Price Morgan, who was a dancer on the old Oceanic back in the 80s. So she was a dancer back when I started cruising. So that's a long time ago. In the meantime, she and Pete have been stars of soap operas in London. You might not, stars might be a stretch. They both are involved with a long-running soap opera. And I don't even know if they call it soap operas over there. But anyway, that's what we would call it here in this country. A television series that's been going on forever. And they're both involved with that. So looking forward to that. That's going to be some interesting thing, because she and Pete are longtime friends. So they'll have all kinds of interesting things that I'll just sit back and listen to. And then I got some questions for her about what it was like to be a performer way back in the 80s on cruise ships. So that'll be fun. And next Sunday, a week from tomorrow, I just landed probably as major an interview as I've ever landed in my career. But I'm going to be talking with Sue Bryant. If you put the 10 leading travel writers in the world on a list, Sue Bryant's name's going to be there. She's written 25 travel books, some 300 travel articles. She's does a lot of the writing on Cruise Critic. She's editor of the travel editor of the Sunday Times in London. We're talking about a big time writer. She'll be our guest a week from tomorrow. So really looking forward to that and developing a friendship, I hope, with Sue. She and I have chatted several times back and forth and setting up the interview and so forth. So there's 2 weeks that two more just really good guests on the Cruise Amigos Travel for Solo show on Sunday, and you're all welcome, of course, to be there for that. Okay, so news-wise, today is it's a little sketchy as far as the United States is concerned. I mean, yeah, this is the 4th of July for us, and that's a day of celebration and so forth. I'll get to that in a minute. Basically, the news items all are dealing with European stuff today. They've opened up some travel finally, for at least for our friends at Great Britain, which is a good thing. You can now start traveling some over there. United States folks are still barred from traveling to Europe and to Great Britain. And it's going to be that way until we get our act together over here, whenever that might be. But there's now loosening some of the travel restrictions for you guys in Europe. And one of the important things, probably the most important thing to at least some of my friends over there in England, is the pubs are open. But rather, as we speak right now, you can go down to the pub and get a pint. Now, folks, let me warn you. As much as I love your British pubs, and as much as I would love, especially if you've been on lockdown for months like I am, keep in mind the major issues that the United States is having right now, as we speak, these last few weeks, has been traced back a major percentage of all the spikes we're having, the bad spikes in Florida, Texas, California, Arizona, and some of the other states. The major spikes we're having in this country where they've had to go backwards on opening the economy is coming from bars. People, especially young people, go to bars. They don't use the face mask. They don't use social distancing. They just go in and think they're going to be back to normal and drinking and partying and having a good time. And it's causing spikes. And then once you start that and you start spreading it again, then you put back to the senior citizens and those of us that have issues back in danger again. So I warn you, I'm not, be careful, folks over there it's great that the pubs are now open, but be careful. I will also let you know that the cats are wild this morning. Right at the moment, I see them over on my bed, tearing my bed apart. So we're liable to have cats jump up on on my desk and get on the air at any time this morning as they're out and about. But anyway, great for the folks over there in Great Britain and Europe with some things heading in the right direction. To balance it, Catalonia has just ordered an indefinite lockdown for the Segria region of Spain due to new outbreaks of COVID-19. It's going to be effective from midday today, which midday today has already passed over there. That's what are they, 6 hours behind ahead of us. So it's already started. Midday today with no end date. So that's an area of Spain that's back on lockdown again because of new outbreaks. Again, hats off, people. They're seeing a problem and they're jumping on it quickly. So that'll maybe help so you guys don't get in the mess that we're in this country right now. So we're just reporting on that one. Then on the good side of things, Saga Cruises is looking at doing some cruises around from Britain, where they're just going to do some sail around Britain voyages as soon as the restrictions are lifted for ships. So says the managing director of Saga. Again, that's for you folks over there. Many of our folks here in this country don't even know who or what Saga is. But Pete has talked several times about the possibility of being able just to get on a ship, even if it doesn't go anyplace, doesn't stop anyplace, just to be on a ship again. And then our friend Tom down in Port Canaveral, he and his wife are down there and staying for a while, and they went on a casino cruise, which is just a small boat. And here comes a cat. Anyway, a small boat just went out for 5 hours or so. So they were just out in the water on a boat, and since they can't do their regular cruises, and they've had a bunch canceled this year, as we all have. So it's a positive news. At least you got to consider that coming out of Great Britain and Europe, and hats off to all of them. Just be careful, folks, that you don't overdo things, and be careful with all the rules and regulations loosening, that you don't think that it's all over and you go trying to get back to normal too quick, and because that's going to be further problems and slow us down even further, like we're seeing in this country right now. So just be careful, folks. But hats off to you guys. Have fun in the pubs if you are going out to the pubs. Don't have too much fun, though. Keep your distance. Don't do silly things like shake hands. Forget all that. Wear your mask. You got to take it to drink a pub or lift it up and drink, or however you want to do it. But please wear the face coverings. Goodness gracious. That's the only way we're going to get a handle, get this thing stopped until the day where we have vaccines and stuff, is my feelings. Please do it. All right. Again, there's not a whole lot of news this morning. So let's pause for a word from my friends at Scooter Rail.
Do you have a bad back, bad hips, bad knees, or any other mobility issues? Think about Scooter Rail. For scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, even oxygen needs, delivered right to your cabin. Scooter Round for all your mobility needs on your upcoming cruise.
I wish I was physically able to get up and dance. I'd get up and dance around the chair every time I play that. All right, let's see who else is here. Cindy's here. Hey, Cindy. Good to see you this morning from down in Dallas. Jason's here from Pittsburgh. What did he say? They closed the bars in Pittsburgh again. Ooh, spikes up there too. Sorry to hear that. Emily from New York is with us. Good morning, Emily says to everybody. Pete's here from London. Pete, good to have you. Happy 4th of July from London to all our friends across the pond. And Pete, I know you guys don't celebrate the 4th of July over there, but you're celebrating 4th of July today because you got some loosening of some things and pubs open and things. So anyway, glad to have all you guys with me. So All right, folks, you guys all know, and this is non-cruising, non-travel. This is the old fat guy. I'm going to run my mouth for a couple minutes here on feelings about things. And you guys all know that I try to maintain a position of non-political. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care if you're liberal or conservative. I don't care if you're black or white, brown or yellow, green or blue. I don't care if you're a Muslim or Catholic or Baptist or agnostic or atheist. I don't care. I hope I always respond and treat people the way I want to be treated in my life, which is to be respectful of you and your position and your beliefs, whatever they may be. I'm troubled this Independence Day, a day on which in my lifetime, despite several areas of extreme torment in this country, was one of the days in the year when you could bury the hatchet, forget our differences, and celebrate our independence and our freedoms that we all have in this country, and celebrate it together and have just one fabulous day. But what I see this year is wedges being hammered deeper into the divides in this country, and that, to me, that's awful. And again, I'm not making a political statement, folks, but I'm totally opposed to the president last night in his just hammering wedges against a major portion of this country, both the liberal side of things, the Democratic side of things. I think it's racially motivated, at least part of it, that I just don't like, and I don't think it's healthy for this country. We have history in this country that's, some of it's good, some of it's bad, but it's our history. We can't erase that. And I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm a white man, number one, and hopefully I don't have a racial hair on my head or bone in my body, whatever you want to call it. At least that's the way I try to live. But I'm a white man and a landowner. And in my history, in my family history, somewhere back down the line, we were slave owners. Because as a child, I remember coming down to the farm. And even though my grandparents had this house that I now live in, it was much smaller then, but they had built that. But I remember going over on the back part of the farm to the old homestead, the old mansion that was here once upon a time, and it had slave quarters. So somewhere back in my history, we had slaves. We were slave owners in this country. Does that mean that I'm a slave person or supporting of that philosophy? Absolutely not. But it's part of my history and my background. As a white man growing up in the South, I've always been proud to be a Southerner. I've always made fun of being a redneck, although I probably am not what you generally would refer to as a redneck, but anyway, make fun of it. But I've been proud of my heritage, not necessarily proud of what the black population is upset with. I can understand back several years ago when Colin Kaepernick started his protests by kneeling for the national anthem. He was protesting the treatment of black individuals by some police departments. Many of the white power structure in this country turned that into that it was a protest and an insult to our military and our flag. It was never about that. I at least understood that at the time. Doesn't mean that I agreed with it. I would never protest during the national anthem being spoken because I'm proud to be an American. But I understood what they were doing and why they were doing it. Moved down several years now, and we've had the recent protests over the killing of blacks by several police departments. I understand the reason behind that and agree with that. Yes, it's gotten carried away in areas. You had the whole issue of destroying property and looting and stuff. That was all bad. But that went over and beyond what the people were protesting for to start with. Too often in this country, many, folks, it's many white landowner people, just like I am, tend to make everything racial and don't admit that they're racist. And it's not. If we'd ever sit back and listen to what our brethren, our African-American heritage folks are saying and look at it through their eyes, maybe we'd understand why a statue of a Confederate general is offensive to them. I never thought of it that way because I'm a white man of privilege. So I never looked at it from their perspective. I can see that now. The reason I think I'm saying this is because last night at Mount Rushmore, when the message that I so wanted the president to put out of unity, of trying to heal this country, and he didn't, and he just tried to divide it even further. The message that I wanted to see, but I did understand from another perspective what people see in Mount Rushmore. I've been there myself many times. But 2 of the 4 folks up there on the wall and then the rock wall were slave owners. As a white man of privilege, I never thought about that. And we have a number of former presidents that were slave owners. That's part of our history. We can't erase that from the history of the United States. They were still our presidents. But I can at least see why a major portion of our population has problems with that. I also go back. I went to school in Kentucky. Most of you know the University of Kentucky. I was there when the first actual protest that I was around in my life was over the wording in my old Kentucky home, and they had to take a phrase out of my old Kentucky home. That same racial divide is still going on in this country, and I believe it's one of the things that we have to heal to get this country back to what it has always been. Okay, guys, that's my thoughts on the state of the union in this country. I am highly still upset that we're in a position where our friends in Europe have to say, no Americans can come here right now. If you're from the United States, forget it. We don't want you. I don't blame the folks in Europe for that. I love the folks in Europe. I understand exactly why they're doing it. Don't blame them at all. And I think and it's time we do something to get this thing under control in this country. Hats off finally to like the governor in Texas that he's backing things up a little bit. I think Florida needs to back things up a little bit. We more than anything, we need to quit listening to politicians. both sides, Republican and Democrats, quit listening to politicians so much and believing everything that comes out of their mouth, and maybe go back and listening to the scientists and the doctors that really know what's going on in the hospitals. Let's listen to them instead of politicians a bit and try to do some things to get things back healthy in this country so we can start traveling again, we can start cruising again, and we can get back to normal. So that's my ranting for today. I promise not to rant anymore. Okay. Let's see who else is here. Emily's here. Tom's here. Hey, Tom from down there in Orlando. I just talked about you. Tom went on the casino boat and won some money. That's good for him. Let's see what else we got. Jason says, don't worry. Nobody will cancel you, Chillie. Yeah. Well, if they do, they do. Some of you guys, I know most of y'all know how pretty much I feel because I do wear it on the sleeve a lot. Sonny's with us. Hey, Sonny, down Mississippi. As president, I will mandate only mixed marriages until we are all the same. That's Tom. Only Tom would come up with that one. Gretchen says, they don't even want us in Canada. Yeah, well, can you blame them? I can't blame them at all. Is suntan lotion still allowed? By the way, as Tom mentioned suntan lotion, I have to tell you, folks, my sister was just in here a few minutes ago. She said, you can't go out in the sun today. I said, what the hell are you talking about? She said, you got too much sun yesterday. So I did spend a lot of time in the pool. I've been spending a lot of time in the pool. And I did get a lot of sun yesterday. And it was hot. It's going to be hot today, too, up in the 90s again. So anyway. Tom mentioned the suntan lotion. Oh, I don't want to notice on my phone. So, okay, one other thing to take care of this morning. Back here a little while ago, I talked to our friend Gretchen, who's in the audience, by the way. I asked her about cruise ships.
My favorite ship would probably be the Allure. I went on that last year. Actually, I guess it was almost 2 years ago now with my son. And his son and wife, and my husband, of course. I don't count him, but he was with us. And that has a Central Park. It has the optional dining. It had the sanctuary, which we spent a lot of our time in because of our age. It was nice to get away from all the kids.
Thanks, Gretchen. Now, there's only one problem with that. Maybe you need to start paying a little more attention to the hubster. Because I know you want to go on this cruise with us next October to Europe, and you got to get the hubster in line. So maybe you need to start count him a little bit. I'm just teasing. All right. So anyway, folks, you guys all have a wonderful 4th. Please be safe. If you're going out and going places and meeting family and stuff, still do the social distancing thing. Wear your mask if you're in public. Please be safe, be smart, and stay healthy. And I'll see you on tomorrow from London with Julie as our guest. And I'll see you again back here on Tuesday, if I don't see you before then, for Travel and Cruise Industry News. Thanks for being with me, guys. Y'all have a great weekend. Later, y'all.
Thank you for watching today's Travel and Cruise Industry News. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.